Good afternoon to all present. I welcome you all to I Explore Study Overseas webinar by Mr. Pawan Solanki, who is an international career counselor. Now I invite Dr. Vijay Rathore for the inaugural session.
Good afternoon, all. I hope am I audible to all of you. And let me take this privilege to welcome you all in this event. I Explore Study Overseas. Uh, in our international cell, IIS-TIE, we have been getting so many mails in last few days that students are they are eager to know how to get admissions abroad, how in which universities they can go, and what things they need to care about whenever they're seeking admissions abroad. So all these queries will be now solved today. I hope we have a very great counselor who has been in this field of international counseling for last 20 years, Mr. Pawan Solanki. So after this session of 1 hour, I think Mr. Pawan Solanki will be able to tell you all your queries regarding the admissions abroad, how to seek the universities, how to seek for the scholarships, and what things we need to taken care of. What about TOEFL, IELTS, all the examinations, and then how we can be aware of the fake universities outside. All these concerns and many more things will be told by Mr. Pawan Solanki. So let me now take the privilege to invite Mr. Pawan Solanki for the further proceedings. Solanki sir, welcome.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind and warm welcome. Thank you so much, Vyoma ma'am. Thank you so much for the team from IIS for this welcome. And thank you to all the students who have joined this presentation. Vyoma ma'am, with your permission, I just wanted to share the screen if that's possible, if I can.
Yes, definitely. We are so privileged to our screen share.
Right. I have a small presentation that I have prepared for the students, and I'll just need your support in case the slides don't change, because in Google Meet sometimes the slides become an issue. Right. I hope the slides are visible, Dr. Vijay. Are they okay?
Yeah, it is visible, sir. Visible.
All right. Okay, so I'll quickly introduce myself. As Dr. Vijay said, I am a career counselor. I do have about 20 years of experience, and I keep on interacting with the students throughout the year. On an average, I do meet, even in these pandemic times, roughly about 1,000 students in a year, and we do help them in terms of making an informed decision. My concern with the students of today is the way technology is impacting their future, and I always request the students to look for a career before they choose a course. Normally, Indian students tend to first decide on a course and then they look for a career, and I always keep on saying that education is just a means for the future career that you have decided for yourself, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, whether you want to work somewhere, whether it's a startup that you're looking for, anything which is actively employing you. Please think about that first and then choose a course which gives you the skills for that, right? And always understand the 7-year new job cycle. It's a very simple concept. It's a very simple concept. The concept says that all the jobs that are existing today, 90% of them will not exist in 7 years' time. They will vanish in 7 years' time, and we will have new types of jobs or careers that are available, and we have to prepare for that. Something very simple that I give as an example, even in 2005 or 2006, there was no company or an organization which had a social media handle or a social media marketing manager or a digital media presence. Today, within like if you come to 2016 or 17, which was like 7-year cycle, every organization started moving on to social media. right? And today in 2021, you can't exist without social media as an organization or a digital presence. So if you are a student right now and you are interested in a career after your masters, you are basically looking for a job or a career 3 to 4 years later. So you need to be very careful about this 7 year new job cycle and then plan your degree and course accordingly, right? So the employer or the industry, if you are moving as an entrepreneur, is looking on your skills, not the name of the degree. Because I've seen some children who are really stuck on the name of an MBA, whereas probably the MBA that they are getting would not really help them in terms of the job. They need to acquire the right skills. Always focus on the profitability when it comes to investing towards your education. The total cost of your education should be recovered within 1.5 years of your graduation. If you are not getting that recovery, that education was a waste, right? You are living in a global world, so you have to focus to a career, a course or a degree or a university which aims to give you that multiculturalism, that edge in terms of understanding different cultures across the world. For example, if you want to work with, let's say, Microsoft, or you want to work with Google, if you tell them I was born in Jaipur, I went to a school in Jaipur, I went to a college in Jaipur, now you give me a job in your New York headquarters, not happening, right? Whereas if you say that, okay, I've traveled the world, I have an international exposure, I've worked with people from 20 different nationalities in my group projects and assignments, I have an Indian program, I have an Indian degree, I have an international exposure, international internship. Well, that's multiculturalism. You are employable in that environment. So you have to focus on a program that gives you that, right? And you must focus on digital skills. Last 1.5 years, please understand, even to be a simple teacher in a government school, you are now required to have very good digital skills, whether it is using Excel or simple tools like our Google Meet that we are having currently. Uh, these were skills that were not taught to the teachers of current generation in their education. These were skills that they had to acquire on the job to remain in the job. If any one of us today says, I will not do a video conference, I will only meet face to face, well, that's 90% of your business opportunity lost. I'll be unemployed tomorrow. So even if you want to become a doctor, even if you want to become an engineer, now you need to be able to have digital skills to be able to communicate, to be able to showcase, to be able to work. Right? So you have to ensure that whatever course you are doing is preparing you for digital skills of the future, right? And you must read newspapers. You need to read newspapers because you need to do a lot of focus and attention on automation and artificial intelligence and how it is taking jobs away. So you need to understand, okay, I'm deciding a career. Let's say I'm deciding a career as a writer. Now, if I want a future as a journalist, how is automation, technology, artificial intelligence affecting my industry, and how do I remain employable in the future, right? All of this sounds very, technical, jargon-wise, but I just have a small slide that kind of helps you understand how it is impacting the world around you, right? Now, things like thanks to Uber and Ola, I don't even need a driver for a car. I don't even need to buy a car. I have Uber and Ola that can take me anywhere. I don't need a travel agent anymore. I have yatra.com and many more such websites and apps, right? Shops across the world are closing down, malls are closing down, thanks to the revolution that Amazon and Flipkart have brought forward. So imagine retail as an industry, what's the massive impact that it has? Newspaper circulations across the world have come down by less than a half, 50% loss of newspaper circulation in 2 years because people are still reading news, but they're reading on an app. So the digitization of a newspaper. So that's where you need to kind of focus on. Today, banks, if you do an online banking with, let's say, even if with an ICICI Bank or a Bank of Baroda, their AI-enabled softwares are taking care of all your accounting needs and the GST billing needs and everything. You don't need a chartered accountant to look after you in the near future. I don't need a bank, a physical branch of a bank is what I mean, because all my banking services are now digitally enabled. So if you were thinking of getting a job in a bank, well, just to give you news, a leading bank like ICICI Bank has closed more than 14 branches in the last 1.5 years because customers have just moved online. So there is so much of changes happening right now, and you are looking at starting your career in 3 to 4 years, and I am saying by 2030, 70% of all existing jobs will be taken over by technology and AI. So if you are planning to invest in a course, if you are planning to invest in a career and you want to go overseas, you need to understand what the industry will be requiring 7 years down the line. The biggest example is thanks to the Tesla electric car revolution that's coming in. Students who are studying automobile engineering right now, they are being taught diesel and petrol engines. Those engines will cease to exist in 5 years' time. Their entire 4 years of engineering has just gone waste. So this is how careful you have to be. All this information is right there around us in news. So be kind of somebody who's well versed and well read, and you are kind of getting involved in how your area of interest, the industry is trending in that area. So you have to be very careful around that. Now, courtesy all these changes happening around us, the courses of the future are also getting impacted, right? So I have just got one example that I want to show you in terms of how the courses are getting impacted. Okay, a simple thing like earlier we used to have masters in management, masters in marketing, masters in finance, masters in economics, masters in information systems. These were 5 different degree programs. Employers don't want to hire those 5 different people. They want one person who can do all of this together. So all of these degrees have been combined into what we call as Masters of Business Analytics. And this is what, if you want to get into a McKinsey or a KPMG or a Deloitte and you want to work as a consultant or a business analyst, you need to do a business analytics degree. And when you're studying business analytics, you need the skills of a finance guy, an economics person, computer skills of an information system person, and you need to understand management decision making, and you need to understand marketing, branding, and digital presence and everything. So that is how the courses across the world have evolved. That is how employer expectations have evolved, and this evolution exists today. And if you are somebody who's going to do the bachelor's now, then do a master's, and then look for a job, imagine the quantum of evolution that will take place for you. And if you want a career and if you want to remain employable, you need to acquire these skills for the future. Gone are the days I did an MBA in marketing. 70% of all taxi drivers in New York have an MBA in marketing. That's the future of a simple MBA marketing. The world has moved on. We need to move on. If you are planning education, you need to be careful of what you are choosing as a course, right? This is my favorite slide that I share with my students, and I call it the mantra for the future for the students who are in their final year and planning a future, right? First question that I am probed by students all the time is, do I get to work or should I go for higher education immediately? And my answer is very simple. Who are you getting placed with? If you are getting a job with a Fortune 500 company amongst the world's best organization, you're working with a McKinsey, you're working with KPMG, you're working with TCS, Reliance, if you're working with Infosys, HCL, please work for 2 to 3 years before deciding on your master's degree program. But if you're saying that no, I could not get into any of the good organizations and I am going in for some startup, or I really don't know, this is a local company, not an internationally recognized brand, is not even listed on the Indian Stock Exchange, then basically you lack skills. You are unemployable technically. None of the good employers want you. Therefore, you need to go in for higher education and get the skills to become employable. So choose a master's if you don't get a good job. After bachelor's, you must work for 2 to 3 years before signing up for a master's. But the work has to be with a genuinely good organization, not just any organization. And please don't say मैं पापा की कंपनी में जॉब कर लेता हूँ, because even Mukesh Ambani did not hire his own son and daughter into Reliance. They were also forced to go out in the market, work for 2 years before they could join Reliance Industries. So either your dad is richer and bigger than Mukesh Ambani, or please don't come up with that excuse and story, right? Then again, as I say, choose a course that prepares you for a skill that is in demand, not a course because it is sounding good, or my father did the same course, or my sister did the same course, or all my mama's friends' children are doing the same course. My cousin is. That's not a valid excuse. You need to choose a course that provides you with the skill that is in demand, right? The next important aspect is checking the visa rules. Now, this is where children get it wrong. Let's say any one of you wants to do economics, or you want to do business. You quickly go onto Google and say best college for business, and okay, I want to go to UK, I want to go to London, and let me get into Oxford. Oxford is best, or London School of Business is the best, and let me go there. Well, great. They are best institutions. You get an admission, you study. The UK government gives you 2 years of work rights, and then they say go back home. And then you say, no, I want to settle. I want to continue working over there. And then they say, well, our visa rules don't allow that. So you need to check any course. If you have plans to settle down and work over there, you need to map your course, college, and the country's visa rules. These are three different things, right? You can't just search for the best college and wish and imagine favorable visa rules for yourself. You have to check the visa rules, check the college, find the right match. Okay. The next important aspect is checking out the QS university rankings. The QS is an internationally recognized and accepted ranking system. All other rankings that you come across are paid rankings. You pay a newspaper and they will call you the best college in the world. QS only evaluates the world's top 1500 universities. Unfortunately, only 7 Indian universities feature in the world's top 500. Only seven. Six of them are IITs. One is the Indian Institute of Science. Delhi University, Delhi University is world number 501. So Delhi University does not even feature in the world's top 500. That's how good the QS ranking system is. So now there are a lot of good universities across the world. You check their rankings, check their subject-wise rankings, check their employment rankings. But the QS university rankings, they are very fair, and you will give a very good idea in terms of what course or what university I am signing up for, right? And always check the budget. Always have a discussion with your parents in terms of how much they want to spend for your higher education. Don't assume that you will get a scholarship. Scholarships are fairly tough and competitive to get. So you need to understand the criteria. It's a criteria between academics and extracurricular. Don't assume that the bank will just give you an education loan because you have an offer letter. It depends on a lot of factors like your parents' income profile. You have to mortgage properties, what's the status of the property. And the trouble with an education loan is you have to pay it back. So if you are thinking, you plan your budget very carefully, have an honest discussion with your parents, get a fair idea as to how much you can spend, then we start the application process and check, right? And if many of you come to us saying that I really want to settle down once I go there, I never want to come back to India. Well, if that is your plan, then the first thing that you need to check is the visa rule of the country. Is that country allowing you to settle down? If that country doesn't allow you, the visa rules don't permit you to settle down, or they don't give you a clear pathway in terms of settling down, then you are in trouble. You may have to choose your destination separately. All right. And last but not the least, don't listen to anybody's advice. In India, advice is available for free. There are people who have not studied at an IIT but are happy to tell you what to do at an IIT. There are people who have never been overseas or studied overseas, but they try and tell you how to study overseas or which is a good university. Well, I say check the credentials of the person who's guiding you, right? Now, just to give you an idea in terms of what I mean when I say all this, I have picked up some key destinations where Indian students go in, and I'll just trying to give you a quick snapshot about how these countries kind of look like. Let's start with Singapore and Dubai. I like these destinations because they are offering face-to-face counseling right now and face-to-face classes right now, and they have opened their borders for Indians after the COVID situation is there. And the advantage of Singapore and Dubai is they are homes to education cities. Some of the best universities from across the world have also set up campuses in Singapore and Dubai. You can access universities from UK, US, Canada, Australia in Singapore and Dubai at a much lesser cost. They're pretty good. And they recognize the Indian 10 plus 2 plus 3 education system. There are a lot of waivers that are available for GRE, GMAT, so that makes our admission process like really easy. And they give you a 1 year job search visa after you finish your course, right? And the costs in terms of tuition is between 6 to 15 lakh rupees for most of the universities per year. And the average salaries vary from 15 to 18 lakhs per year after you finish the course. The visa rules over here are simple. So if you are someone who has challenges in terms of parents not having income tax returns, or the amount of savings are not really there, or in the bank account in declared tax formats, then these are good destinations that you can opt for. So this is definitely good, can be considered right now, especially due to the pandemic, right? UK and Ireland, these are cost-effective masters. I really call them because you can finish your master's program within 1 year, and because the Indian education system is a gift that the Britishers left behind after they went in 1947. They recognize the 10 plus 2 plus 3 format because it's a gift given to us by the Britishers, right? For most of the courses, again, they don't require a GRE or GMAT. So again, life is simple. You can apply straight away on the basis of marks that your college gives you, and you can go ahead with it, right? You are guaranteed a 2 year work permit after completion of your studies. So that's again a big advantage. Whether you get a job or not, you do have a work permit. You get some time to search for a job, find a job, and start working over there. Average salaries are 18 to 20 lakhs per year. Costs vary from 12 to 20 lakhs in a year. Now, if you look at a 1 year master's of 12 lakh rupees, that's almost similar to doing a master's at some of the Indian institutions. So you can, at the cost of India, you could actually be studying in UK and Ireland and earning better, right? Again, as of now, very simple visa requirements, easy to get in, no problems at all. Not a great destination if you're looking at settling down or migrating. Their migration rules are not so easy. Student visa very easy, work permit very easy, migration slightly tricky. Okay. Another country which you can look at, currently their borders are closed for India and they open up only next year. But the New Zealand as a destination is a study, work, and settled destination. Just like the UK, they offer 1.5 year master courses. They recognize the 10 plus 2 plus 3, another destination where we don't need a GRE or a GMAT, and they guarantee 3 years of work permit after the studies. Their salaries are very high because the total population of New Zealand is less than the population of Jaipur. So they are looking for highly skilled people. It's very easy to get a migration to New Zealand after you finish your studies. However, because it's a migration driven destination, their visa checks are fairly strict. Their English and visa checks are fairly strict. So the visa filing has to be done perfectly these days if you're looking at New Zealand as a destination. So it's a good destination, easy admissions, and you can work and you can settle. Very popular destination with Indian students, Canada. Again, largely because it's a study, work, and settled destination, and they have made even their education extremely simple and affordable and accessible. They have broken down their entire education. Either you can go in for a diploma program or you can go in for a degree program. For getting into diploma, they recognize our 10 plus 2 plus 3. But if you're looking at a degree over there, then a 10 plus 2 plus 4 is required by most of the good universities, right? Some universities also require GRE, GMAT, but colleges that offer diploma do not require GRE, GMAT. So there's a waiver possible. And depending on whether you're going in for a diploma or a degree, your costs can actually be as low as 8 lakh rupees per year to maximum of 30 to 35 lakh rupees per year, depending on the currency conversion rates. Salaries are pretty good. However, because it is such a major advantage in terms of cost being low, uh, guaranteed work permits up to 3 years, and they are also looking for students to stay on and settle down. Migration is on offer. Their visa checks are fairly strict, right? And so you have to be careful when you're applying for the Canadian study visa. So that's another aspect. So if you notice the trend, any country where they are allowing you to settle down, the visa conditions are fairly strict. The any country where you are not being permitted to stay on for long and they ask you to move out after a certain period of time, the visa conditions are easy. So you can see this trend and you can make a note of this. Another country where the borders are currently closed for Indian students, they open up in February next year, but it's a destination to study, work, and settle. They offer 2 year master courses. So that ways it is similar to the Indian education system because the Indian government also requires you to do a 2 year masters. If you are not doing a 2 year masters, you may not be allowed to do a PhD in India. So you have to be careful if you want to continue to do a PhD back in India. Australia still is under the British crown. The head of the state continues to be the British Queen. Therefore, they continue to recognize the 10 plus 2 plus 3 system. They don't require a GRE or a GMAT, and they offer you up to 4 years of work permit after finishing your studies. The average salaries are fairly high, amongst the highest in the world in terms of starting salaries, 25 to 30 lakhs, largely because it is a country which is about 4 to 5 times the size of India and a population that is less than the population of Delhi, right? So they have a very small population, cost of labor is very high, and they are open to the idea of migration. And because of that, the visa checks are fairly strict, right? Uh, then let's come to US, which is the most popular destination for Indian students. US, of course, if you're looking at US, then I recommend that you stick to STEM. STEM, of course, is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Because if you are going for STEM courses, then they give you a 3 year stay back. If you are going for a non-STEM course, then they give you a 1 year stay back. All right. And all the good universities in the US then recognize only 10 plus 2 plus 4, and they do need either a GRE or a GMAT. Some of them have waived it off during the pandemic time. Others have insisted that they still have, once you write a GRE or GMAT, it's valid for 5 years. So you have to be careful, right? Their visa requirements continue to be strict, but in the last 2 years they have been relaxed a lot. So it's a good destination, but just plan the area of studies. If it is not a STEM course, I would strongly recommend thinking about Canada, Ireland, or UK as an alternate destination rather than going straight into the US. So just be careful about the choice of course, right? Recently, we do have a lot of inquiries around Europe, and because Indian kids hear that they offer free education, yes, they offer free education in term only in their public universities. Their private universities are expensive, and the cost of living is expensive. However, if you're planning your studies in Europe, I would request do not plan it for this year or next year. If you wish to plan studies in Europe, then you have to please uh, plan it next the 2023 or later. By then we are anticipating that the economic downturn and the massive COVID impact that they are going through right now would be corrected to a great extent. So my request would be, yes, Europe is a good destination, but the challenges around learning the local language, the Mid East refugee crisis, and the COVID impact has hit them really hard. Not the best time, not the safest time to travel right now to Europe, right? This is something that I request all students to take a photo of or kind of stay with them and then have a look at it, because this is what you need to be careful about, and this is where most of the kids get it wrong, or they miss out, or they don't plan it well in advance. Please start preparing a file which has got all your academic scores from class 10th onwards, all semester wise mark sheets for your college program, and a provisional degree that you eventually get. Please have an updated professional CV done, which includes your internship details and everything. Make sure that in none of your documents, the parent's name or your name has any kind of spelling mistake, or there's different. Here, my mother is Sharma, there, my mother is Kumari. So you have to be careful in terms of all nomenclatures being correct in all these documents. An updated passport that is valid for the duration of the course. Then we get ready in terms of letters of recommendations that we need from your faculty members, and then your essay that you have to prepare for admission and scholarships. Of course, you need English language scores like IELTS, TOEFL, or PTE. My team provides free coaching for that, and we offer even scholarships on the exam fees as well. The number is there, but you can always contact Dr. Vijay at the international team. He'll be happy to guide you to us, and we'll be happy to take care of it. Please check with your parents if they are filing their income tax returns, because at the time of visa, the last 3 years income tax returns are required. If the parents are not filing that, it becomes a challenge. You also need to have a discussion in terms of whether you're going in for an education loan or you'll be using your money from your savings. All of these you have to kind of start discussing, getting them together, bring them to a counselor, start discussing what you want to plan, and then we can take this forward. So these are the documents that need to be ready, because every university for their application, every interview for a scholarship, you will need to produce all these documents. So you need to start thinking on all these lines immediately. Then you club it with the course and you club it with the country. That's how you kind of get ready, right? Now, this is all I had to share currently with you. I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll get back onto the video mode. And then I'm open to questions by all the students. And hopefully, all this information was useful and covered most of the queries that the students were having.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Pawan, for sharing such a nice information with our students. And I hope it will be very beneficial to all of us. Now, let me invite Shruti Agarwal. She want to ask something. Shruti, you can unmute yourself and you can speak your question.
Uh, Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have one question. To study in abroad, specifically masters, if you do not have co-curricular activities, or so, how can we, given the time, how can we, learn or do something in the field of co-curricular activities? Because of the pandemic, we could not do much co-curricular activities.
Okay, Beta, and it's a very valid and a genuine question, and we get this question every time. Please remember that 90% weightage of your university admission process is on your academic scores. As long as your academic scores are right, extracurricular activities do help you in terms of getting, let's say, a scholarship or a special award or a recognition or making an extra push. But extracurricular does not ensure an admission. I will give you a very layman example, and Shruti, that will help you understand this. There was this man called Sachin Tendulkar. He was very
Yes.
good in extracurricular activities, but he could not get an admission into class 11th because class 10th his percentage was bad. So we have given him Bharat Ratna, we have made him a member of parliament, we made him the captain of Indian team, but Sachin Tendulkar could not get into class 11th because his marks were not right. It is as simple as that. And again, show me one person who is a university gold medalist academically who did nothing but read books throughout 3 years of graduation and could not get into a master's program. All you have to show is I was the university gold medalist. All right. Extracurricular activities, yes, they showcase that you are somebody special. You do have skills like leadership skills and teamwork and all those things. So right now, I think all of you have done excellent extracurricular activities. That, and all of you can note down my words. And this session is anyways being recorded. Number one, during pandemic, we were not stressed. We cooperated. We came together as a team. We acquired new skills, and we did our assignments across time zones and across various challenges. So all of this is your extracurricular activities showing your resilience, leadership skills, adaptability. All your skills are on display over here. All right, Shruti. So happy to help you, but believe me, 90% weightage of your admission process is on the marks. Focus on the marks. Right.
Right, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, Soumya wants to ask something. Soumya, Sarah. Soumya, you can unmute yourself
Uh,
and speak.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
So I
afternoon.
wanted to ask that UK is providing only 1 year of master's degree. So if we come back to India, is it helpful or we have to do something more?
Okay, so Soumya, again, a very valid and a very good question. With a 1 year master's, there is no problem in terms of finding employment in India with the Indian private sector, right? Yes, with the 1 year masters, you will face challenge in case, let's say, you want to do a PhD. If you want to pursue an academic career within India, Indian universities do not recognize a 1 year masters. You may be required to do an additional year of studies over here before you can start a PhD. But when if it comes to employment, the UK 1 year masters is recognized globally and even by the Indian private sector. If you are applying for an Indian government job, then you will be treated as a bachelor's with a PG diploma because 1 year master's is equivalent to our PG diploma. It is not equivalent to our master's degree. There's a body called AIU, Association of Indian Universities. that grant the equivalence certificate to any international qualification that we get. So you can go to Harvard, study, get their degree, come back to India. You have to submit your passport and degree copies and mark sheets to AIU, and then they grant you an equivalence letter. So if you do a 1 year master's from UK, come back to India, go to AIU, they will offer you an equivalence certificate to PG diploma in case you want to get into the government sector. But till now, I haven't seen anybody getting into the government sector after they have got international studies and 2 or 3 years of work experience. They are generally taken up by the corporate sector. All right, Soumya?
So one more thing I wanted to ask.
Yeah,
Sir, in Canada, they want a 4-year bachelor's program, which is
yeah,
not available in India. So
right.
what do we have to do if we want to study in Canada?
Okay, so there are two choices that you do. Again, a very common question by the students. Choice number one, you can go ahead and get an admission into a diploma because Canadian diplomas allow you with a 10 plus 2 plus 3. So you can do a 2 year diploma in Canada followed by finishing off your master's with 1 year, or you can do a 1 year diploma in Canada followed by 2 year master's degree if you really want to do a master's degree. For Canadian employment, they are not really bothered whether you're doing diploma or degree. Even if you do a diploma, they are happy to give you jobs and help you settle down, no problems at all. All right. Another choice that you have is that a lot of Indian institutions and universities also offer 1 year PG diploma program. So you can do your 10 plus 2 plus 3 followed by 1 year PG diploma and then apply to Canada as a 10 plus 2 plus 4 student, right? Even if you do a 2 year master's degree in India, you will still be treated as equivalent to 10 plus 2 plus 4 only. All right, Samir? I hope that
Thank you,
helps.
sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, sir. Now, Archana, you want to ask something? Archana Gupta, you're raising your hand. Fine. We have some chat questions also. Anjali Malav
Right.
she wants to ask, sir, can we study in one country and then do work in some other country? Like we study in New
That
Zealand and then we can work in Canada on the basis of that degree. Is it possible?
okay. So Anjali, that's a very valid question. Uh, Bhumika, you will probably have to mute yourself, Bhumika. All right. Okay. Bhumika Kabra, if you can mute yourself, that will be great. Anyways, okay. Now answering Anjali Malav's question over here, it is it is absolutely possible. You can study in New Zealand and you can apply for jobs across the world. All right. But the first preference that is given to anyone is either you are a local citizen or a local graduate. So let's say if I go to New Zealand and I study in New Zealand, I become a local graduate. So my chances of getting an employment in New Zealand are far higher than versus if I apply to UK, US, or anything. The solution to your question can be I study in New Zealand, I work in New Zealand for 2 to 3 years, and then with my international experience, then I apply for either direct immigration or work permit to another country. That will be easier to get work versus if I just am a fresh graduate and applying. All right, Anjali, I hope that helps.
Yes, sir. So one more
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Sir, nowadays like MBAs are traditional MBAs are not so helpful. So what should we do now to to pursue a good career in MBA if we want to pursue master's degree?
Right. So one course that I showcased as an example as part of this presentation was business analytics that is highly in demand right now. However, my office is in Jaipur and with you can coordinate with Dr. Vijay. Then basis your individual profile, we can help you in terms of identifying what could be the right course for you because one size doesn't fit all depending on what was your maths score in class 12 and what is your percentage of scores in IIS university. We can decide on the course university program for you. That's a whole process. We can help you with that. No problems.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
Archana
you.
madam, you want to ask something? Archana Gupta ji.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Archana Gupta.
Good
I'm
afternoon.
from the Department of Namaskar, sir. I'm from the Department of Political Science. You see, my students of political science and especially international relations, they keep on asking all the time about education opportunities and job opportunities in foreign countries. But you see, my problem is that whenever I search for something, I don't find much for social sciences in general, not even in political science and international relations. I don't find much in social sciences in general. Can you shed some light on that?
Ma'am, when it comes to social sciences, there are very limited career options that are available for students. One is
Yes, sir.
law. Law is an area where there are opportunities over there. The
Okay.
second area is bachelor's of social work or master's of social work. Then there is masters of counseling that which leads to employment over there. Apart from these two, three areas, other areas are facing challenges.
Okay.
They do need some language experts also. Lot of students get have a myth that they will go and study masters of international relations and then they
Yes,
will work with the UN and other things.
yes, yes, that is the thing.
Okay, now as long as you are an Indian national and Indian passport holder, you can only work as a representative of India in the UN. For that, you have to clear your UPSC exams. You don't have to do Masters of International Relations.
Okay.
You work, get a job in Indian Foreign Services, and then you work at UN. If you go to another country and you settle down, you get their citizenship.
Okay.
Only then that country will allow you to represent and work for them in the UN. You can't be an Indian passport holder and working for the US at United Nations. It's a basic requirement because you are representing the country at an international forum. You need to be the citizen of the country that you're working for. So you need to be very careful, and a lot of children end up getting misguided that if I do this course, I'll get a job. Doesn't work like that. It's not that easy. You have to again go back to the presentation where I say skills in demand. The first, the only way you can explain to the students the logical way is very simple. For any job that their local citizens can do, they will not invite an Indian student to do it. For any job that their local citizens do not want to do, they are open to inviting Indian students and doing that. For example, engineering is popular, nursing is popular, medicine is popular because these are academically tough programs which their local citizens don't want to do, and Indians are therefore welcome. Teaching is very popular. If you want to be a professor, they want you because their students don't want to put in that hard work. If you want to get into research, that is popular. If you want to do psychology and do clinical psychology is highly in demand. Law is highly in demand. So all these areas where their local students either they find the course to be tough or they don't have enough people in that area to work in that area, then they welcome Indians. Otherwise, they don't.
So what about the subsidiary agencies of the UN like UNESCO, UNICEF, etc.?
So you can work in the UNESCO or UNICEF agencies here in India. They will not allow you to work in US office.
Okay.
There they have their local people to kind of look into. Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, Pawan, I request you to see the chat box also. There are some questions there.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm moving to the
Any
chat
question
box
you want
now.
to give answer, you can just take and give.
Oh, lovely. Okay. So there's a question from Isha Saxena. It's saying, is it better to look for a niche degree or a general one for masters? Isha, again, it's a very good question, but we need to understand student to student. If you have done a very generic degree in your bachelor's, then you must take up a specialization for your masters, right? But if you have already done a super specialization in your bachelor's, then we must move into and do a kind of a generic masters. Like for example, let's say if you have done a bachelor's in artificial intelligence or a bachelor's in automobile engineering, you've already done a super specialization. Then you need to move and acquire a master's program that helps you become a generic candidate across multiple sectors. But let's say if you've done a bachelor's of business, which prepares you for multiple sectors, any business role across different sectors, and then you can do a master's, let's say, in business analytics, or you want to do financial analytics, or you want to kind of change tracks and you want to move into law, then you choose your master's accordingly. But that's a generic rule, but depending on the students, it moves. Sakshi Gogna, thank you for asking this question. Which is the best country to pursue masters in psychology? I have some news for you. Most of the countries don't recognize the Indian bachelors of psychology because our Indian bachelors is only 3 years in duration. International community has moved to a 4 year bachelor's in psychology roughly about 25 years back. Indian curriculum has not been updated for the last 20-25 years, unfortunately. So wherever you apply for a master's in psychology and you want to pursue psychology, because psychology can move into two domains. One is counseling, the other is psychology. Counseling, you can go in, no problems. But if you want to work as a clinical psychologist, immigration and jobs are better as clinical psychologist. There, you have to submit your bachelor's program, degree, everything to the psychological board of that country. They will grant you equivalence to that 2 or 3 year bachelor's program. You have to do 1 year of the bachelor's again over there, the fourth year of bachelor's, and then get selected to 2 year master's. So it becomes a 3 year. So it's not an easy admission process. It's a fairly complicated process. Jobs and demand is only for people who want to do clinical psychology. So the best country to do that, of course, remains Canada, because there is guaranteed immigration at the end of this course. It is Australia, guaranteed immigration at the end of this course. But the admission process for an Indian psychology student is fairly complicated because Indian 3 year programs are not recognized for psychology in many countries. Our curriculum has not been updated. It's a very unfortunate part. It's something that the government needs to look into, right? Janvi is asking, can we pursue an MBA in Canada, Australia if we have got 1 or 2 years of work experience plus having 15 years and the extra is. Yes, Janvi, options are there, but again, I would not be obsessed with the term MBA. I would kind of look into what you have done in terms of work experience and what are the skills you need to acquire and with what objective you are going to these countries. Yes, you are eligible for a master's. Yes, you are eligible for a master's in business, but do you really want to do just an MBA or a super specialized master's? That we can discuss, right? Again, next question from Janvi in terms of pursue supply chain management and logistics. Again, countries are Singapore, then you have Canada, you have got Australia, you've got New Zealand, because these countries, any country which does not have local manufacturing and depends on supply chain management is good to do that because you will get job opportunities in that. And these countries so countries like India have got massive local manufacturing, but we are also emerging in the supply chain management side. But if you go to a place like Dubai, it lives on supply chain management and logistics. So that's, you have to kind of plan that country. Again, Janvi, I am in Goro Towers, happy to help you. You can contact Dr. Vijay. He'll be able to guide you how to kind of approach us. Nisha, you want to apply for a PhD to the US. Of course, there's a GRE that is required. If you want to go for a PhD to the US, you need to write a GRE. And if you, in terms of courses, you need to finish your bachelor's, a 4 year bachelor's followed by a 2 year master's. 25% component of your master's must be a thesis component. The thesis must be more than 10,000 words. You must have 2 to 3 international journal publications in peer-reviewed journals before you apply for a PhD, before you write your GRE. So it's important that you kind of handle that, right, Nisha? Akshita, plain mathematics offers are drying up. Actuarial sciences, it's coming down. You must focus on data sciences and analytics as the future. So pure mathematics doesn't really have a future. Data sciences and analytics, these are math-based programs. You must really focus on them, right? Shruti is saying masters in media and entertainment management. Again, look at the countries where the entertainment industry is really doing good. UK remains a great choice. Singapore remains a great choice. Then Australia and Canada are fantastic choices. US is a fantastic choice, but US you don't really get a stay back for a long period if you do this course. So I would recommend UK, Canada, Singapore, these to be the better choices for you. Akshita is asking which country is best to do pursue masters and PhD in mathematics. Uh, Ideally, I would have said Russia because they're fantastic, or Israel for that matter. They're like really fantastic in this domain. But you really need to revisit what you need to do with that degree. Otherwise, UK is pretty good, US is pretty good. US maths, applied maths, and analytics. If you move into those areas, you do have a strong future. But you need to write a GRE. Nikita is asking, can we switch our course from BSc, BEd to MBA programs? Yes, of course. You can do that. There's no problem doing that. So, in fact, if you are an English honors graduate, you can still kind of go ahead and do an MBA. MBA doesn't is not domain specific. You can come in from any domain. That's not a problem. Um, Khushi is saying, is it possible to get an MBA in India and work experience and then shift abroad? Yes, Khushi, that's possible. It's called direct migration and it is possible, but everything matters on where have you done your bachelor's from, where have you done your MBA from, and which company have you got your work experience from. If it is a Fortune 500 company and your MBA is from an IIM, I guarantee you that you will be able to shift abroad. But if you don't meet these criteria, then there will be other challenges, right? Joshita is saying, I'm a student of BA, BEd, and I want to pursue education as a career, which is a fantastic career, and I want to do research. So if you are interested in education, you can get into Canada, you can get into Singapore, you can get into Dubai, you can go to Australia, you can go to New Zealand. All these countries are in desperate need for good teachers. So you can go ahead, do your masters in education over there, work with them, go ahead and do your research and settle down. They are offering 65 to $70,000 per year as a starting salary. In countries like Canada and Australia, they are even offering you government jobs and tax-free income for the first 4 or 5 years if you want to become a school teacher over there. So a lot of opportunities are there for BA, BEd students in these countries. Anjali has another question. What skills do a first year student of BCom acquire right now to cope up with future opportunities? It's a good question, Anjali. You can start with developing your technical skills. Start learning in terms of you should be able to work with the Python, if nothing else, as a language. Get a language going. Get some internships with the industry going, and make sure that you have some digital skills in terms of certifications and social media and other presence. So you kind of become a multifaceted person and you're not just restricted to bookkeeping and accounting. If you are only bookkeeping and accounting and not good at presentations, you are not employable. So work on your communication skills, right? Archie Jain is... Sir.
Also, can I request you, we can take one last question. And
all right,
because
sir.
now
all right,
we
sir.
need to wind up the meeting also. And I request all of you, if you have any more like questions or query, you can just come down to me at the international cell. I'll be there to help you. And then we'll connect you to the bouncer's office also. So you can go there and you can get more information from there itself. And bouncer, we shall also like share the details of the students who are interested to meet you. So we have got
Right,
some like email addresses and phone numbers with us. We'll share with those things with to you, and we request you also to allow us to share your number to the
Sir,
students so that they can directly contact you.
I'm happy to share my number. In fact, I'll just type it out in the chat box if you want.
I think it will be better. Yeah, yes. So you all can like add down number.
My number I've shared in the chat box, sir, and students can access this. As requested by Dr. Vijay, I'll just take one last question. Uh, in terms of Pari Goswami, but she's again talking psychology. We have covered that up. Shruti Bhati is saying which country is best to study masters in graphic design. Graphic design is fantastic if you get into Singapore, if you get into Canada, if you move into New Zealand. These are three countries which offer you immigration if you are a good person with graphic design. And there are a lot of job opportunities that come your way in that area, right? So I hope this session was useful, and we are constrained by time, and I understand you have other classes going on. I'm here in Gaurav Towers in Jaipur, happy to connect with students, and Dr. Vijay has always got access to me. I'll be glad, whatever Dr. Vijay guides me, happy to work with him on anything that he requires as per his guidance. I'm there to help all the students.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very nice presentation in the last 1 hour, and you have given a very nice responses to all the queries. And I hope the students are very much satisfied now, and most of their queries are solved. And they can come anytime to my office in the international cell, or they can go directly to Counselor's office, and they can get all their knowledge accordingly. So with that, I would also like to say that this meeting has been recorded, and we are going to publish this recording on the YouTube of IIS University. So there also, if somebody have missed this opportunity to see this particular webinar, they can go on the YouTube and they can see the webinar from there itself also. So with that, I would like to thank all the participants also to come here and to ask very good questions. And I would like to especially thank Pawan sir. It would be better that if we could meet personally. We could invite you here in our university itself, and then you could deliver your lecture. But thank you so much for sparing your time, sir. You came here and give very nice information, and hope to see you soon, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.